Chapter 1. The wind howled through the pines surrounding the Silverthorn Pack's clearing, carrying the scent of damp earth and anticipation. Torches flickered, casting long shadows as the pack gathered for the monthly assembly. Hannah Voss stood at the edge, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, her dark brown hair falling in a curtain to shield her face. At 18, she was the only wolf in the pack who had never shifted, a fact that hung over her like a storm cloud. Stand straight. Hannah, her mother, Clara, hissed from beside her. Don't give them more reasons to stare. Hannah's jaw tightened, but she complied, lifting her chin. Her father, Marcus, stood on Clara's other side, his gaze fixed on the raised platform where Alpha Roland addressed the pack. He hadn't spoken to Hannah in days, not since the elders' last meeting where her banishment was proposed. Roland, a broad-shouldered man with graying hair, raised a hand for silence. Silverthorn thrives because we are strong, he began, his voice booming. But weakness threatens us all. We cannot harbor those who defy our nature. The crowd murmured, eyes darting to Hannah. Her cheeks burned, but she kept her expression blank. She'd heard these words before, in whispers and taunts, but hearing them from the Alpha stung like a fresh wound. 18 years, and still no wolf. Roland continued, his gaze locking onto her. Hannah Voss, you've been given time to prove yourself. The time is running out. Hypocrite, a voice muttered nearby. Hannah glanced over to see Lila Crane, her only friend, glaring at the platform. Lila's fiery red hair was tied back, her freckled face set in defiance. They act like you're a plague, but they are just scared of what they don't understand. Lila, don't, Hannah whispered, her voice tight. You'll make it worse than banishment. Lila scoffed, but she lowered her voice. You don't deserve this, hon. You're more loyal than half these cowards. Hannah's heart ached at Lila's words, but loyalty didn't matter when you couldn't shift. She'd tried everything: meditation, rituals, even begging the moon itself, but a wolf remained silent. A ghost she couldn't summon. Roland moved on to pack business, assigning patrols and discussing trade with neighboring packs. Hannah's mind drifted, her eyes scanning the crowd. She spotted her brother, Ethan, near the front, laughing with his friends. At 20, he was everything she wasn't. A skilled hunter, a shifted wolf, the pack's pride. He hadn't spoken to her in months, not since he'd overheard her crying in the woods and called her pathetic. As the meeting ended, Clara gripped Hannah's arm. Go home, she said, her voice cold. Don't linger. You're embarrassing us. Hannah pulled away, her throat tight. I'm not a child, Mother. Then stop acting like one, Clara snapped. If you'd shifted, none of this would be happening. Marcus finally looked at her, his eyes weary. Just do as she says. Hannah. She turned away, blinking back tears. Lila fell into step beside her as they headed toward the pack's village, a cluster of cabins nestled in the forest. They're wrong, Lila said fiercely. You're not cursed. You're different. Special. Hannah forced a smile. Special's just a nice word for useless. Don't say that, Lila said, stopping to face her. You're my best friend, Han. If they cast you out, I'll go with you. Don't be stupid, Hannah said, her voice softening. You've got a life here, a wolf, a future. Lila's eyes glistened. And you don't. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, Hannah thought, but she didn't say it. Instead, she hugged Lila tightly. Go home. I'll see you tomorrow. Alone, Hannah walked to her family's cabin, her boots crunching on the gravel path. The moon hung low, nearly full, mocking her. She paused, staring at it, her chest tight with longing. Why won't you help me? She whispered. The moon offered no answer. Inside, the cabin was dark, her parents still at the gathering. Hannah lit a candle and sank onto her bed, her mind replaying Roland's words. Banishment, she'd be cast out, left to survive, alone or die. She buried her face in her hands, fighting the sob rising in her throat. She wouldn't cry, not tonight. Chapter 2. The next morning, the pack buzzed with news. A rogue-born pack. The Ironclaw was arriving for an alliance meeting. Hannah overheard it while fetching water from the well, her bucket sloshing as she listened to two elders gossip. Rogues. One spat. No better than feral dogs. Roland's mad to trust them. They're strong, the other countered. Hey, and we need allies against the Black Ridge pack. Their alpha, Kale, is young but cunning. Kayla's ears pricked at the name. Kale. It sounded sharp, like a blade. She hauled her bucket back to the cabin, her mind turning. Rogues were outcasts, wolves who'd left or been banished from their packs. If anyone might understand her, it could be them. By noon, the Ironclaw pack arrived. Hannah watched from the edge of the village square, hidden behind a stack of firewood. 6 wolves emerged from the forest, their movements fluid and wary. At their head was a man in his mid-20s, tall and lean, with black hair tied back and eyes like storm clouds. Kale. Roland greeted him stiffly, flanked by his betas. Alpha Kale, he said. Welcome to Silverthorn. Kale's lips curved, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. Alpha Roland. Your hospitality is noted. Okay. The tension was palpable, the air thick with distrust. Atana's gaze lingered on Kale, who scanned the crowd as if searching for something. Kay? His eyes locked onto her, and her breath caught. For a moment, it felt like he saw through her, past her human skin to something deeper. Then he looked away, and she exhaled, her heart racing. Leela appeared beside her, nudging her arm. That's him, huh? The rogue alpha. He's intense. Understatement, Hannah muttered, still shaken by Kale's gaze. Come on, Lala, said, tugging her toward the square. Let's get closer. No one's paying attention to us. Reluctantly, Hannah followed. The packs were negotiating, their voices low but sharp. Kale's second, a wiry woman named Sable, leaned in to whisper something to him. He nodded, then paused, his nostrils flaring. He turned, his eyes finding Hannah again. This time, he didn't look away. What's his problem? Lila whispered. No idea, Hannah said, her voice unsteady. But she felt it too, a pull, like a thread tugging at her soul. That evening, a feast was held in the pack's longhouse. Hannah sat at the far end, picking at her venison stew. Leela was across from her, chatting with a young Ironclaw wolf named Torin, who seemed charmed by her energy. Hannah's parents were near the head table, avoiding her gaze. Ethan was there too, laughing loudly with his friends, oblivious to her. Kale sat beside Roland, his presence commanding despite his silence. Halfway through the meal, he stood, raising a cup. 2 uneasy alliances, he said, his voice dry. Okay. May they hold long enough to serve us all. The crowd chuckled nervously, but Roland's smile was tight. Strength, he countered, lifting his own cup. As the feast continued, Hannah slipped outside for air, the noise overwhelming. She leaned against the longhouse wall, staring at the stars. Footsteps crunched behind her, and she tensed, running from the party. Kale's voice was low, almost teasing. She spun, her heart pounding. Just needed a break. He stepped closer, his eyes glinting in the moonlight. You're Hannah, aren't you? The one they call cursed. Her stomach twisted. That's what they say. He tilted his head, studying her. They're wrong. You're sent. It's not cursed. It's ancient. What does that mean? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Kale's expression darkened. It means you're more than they'll ever understand. Okay? And it means trouble's coming for you. Before she could respond, Sable appeared, her eyes narrowing at Hannah. "Kale, Roland's asking for you." Kale nodded, but his gaze lingered on Hannah. "Stay sharp, Hannah Voss. You'll need to." As he walked away, Hannah's mind reeled. Ancient. Trouble? What was he talking about? Chapter 3. The next day, Hannah couldn't shake Kale's words. She went through her chores mechanically, hauling firewood and mending nets by the river. Lila found her there, her face alight with excitement. "Okay, spill," Lila said, plopping down beside her. "What happened with you and the rogue alpha last night?" Torrin said. "Kale was staring at you like you were the moon itself." Hannah's cheeks heated. "He wasn't staring. He just said something weird. Called my scent ancient." Lila's eyes widened. "Ancient? That's not weird. That's huge. Han, you know the old stories, right? About wolves who weren't just wolves?" Hannah frowned, tying off a knot in the net. "You mean the fairy tales? Hybrids? Moonborn? All that nonsense." "It's not nonsense," Lila insisted, lowering her voice. "My gran used to tell me about Lunar Queen's wolves with blood from something older, tied to the moon's power. They didn't shift like us. They were more." Hannah snorted. "And I'm one of those. Lila, I can't even shift at all." "Maybe that's why," Lila said, undeterred. "Maybe your wolf's different. Kale's rogue pack, they know things we don't. What if he's right?" Hannah wanted to dismiss it, but Kale's intensity lingered in her mind. "Even if he is, it doesn't change anything. Roland's still kicking me out." Lila's face fell. "We'll figure something out. I'm not letting you go without a fight." That evening, the Ironcloud pack joined Silverthorn for a hunt, a gesture of goodwill. Hannah wasn't invited, but she watched from a hill as the wolves gathered, their forms sleek and powerful. Kale stood among them, his human form radiating authority. As the hunt began, he glanced up, spotting her. He gave a slight nod, then shifted into a massive black wolf and vanished into the forest. "Show off," Hannah muttered, but her heart wasn't in it. She headed back to the village, her mind churning at the feast that followed. Hannah kept her distance, serving food to avoid attention. Lila was at Torrin's side, laughing at his stories. Clara and Marcus sat with the elders, their faces grim. Ethan was drunk, boasting about his kills. Hannah felt invisible, but Kale's gaze found her again, steady and unnerving. After the meal, Lila dragged her to a corner. "Torrin told me something," she whispered. "Kale's pack has a seer. She's why they're here, not just for an alliance, but because she had a vision about a girl who doesn't shift." Hannah's stomach dropped. "That's a coincidence." "It," Lila pressed. "Kale's watching you like you're the key to everything. You need to talk to him." "I can't just walk up to an alpha," Hannah hissed. "Then I'll make it happen," Lila said, her eyes gleaming with mischief. Before Hannah could protest, Lila was gone, weaving through the crowd. Hannah's pulse raced. She didn't believe in visions or lunar queens, but Kale's words echoed in her mind. "You're more than they'll ever understand." Chapter 4. The alliance talks dragged into the fourth day, and tensions grew. Hannah overheard Roland's betas complaining about the rogues' demands more hunting grounds, shared patrols. The pack was restless, and she felt it in their sidelong glances. Their whispers louder now. She was sweeping the longhouse when Lila burst in, grinning. It said, "You're meeting Kale tonight, by the old oak at the ravine." Hannah dropped a broom. "What, Lila? Are you out of your mind?" "Nope," Lila said, unrepentant. "I told Torrin you needed to talk to Kale about pack history." He passed it on. Kale agreed. Hannah's mouth opened, then closed. "I'm going to kill you." "You'll thank me later," Lila said, dodging a swat. Midnight. "Don't chicken out." That night, Hannah slipped out of the cabin, her heart hammering. The forest was alive with sound owls, rustling leaves, the distant howl of a wolf. She reached the ravine, the ancient oak looming like a guardian. Cale was already there, leaning against the trunk, his arms crossed. "You're late?" he said, Kay's voice low. "I didn't even want to come." Hannah shot back, her nerves fraying. "Lila set this up." Cale's lips twitched. "She's bold. I like her." Hannah crossed her arms, mirroring him. "What do you want from me?" "You keep saying cryptic things, staring like I'm a puzzle. I'm just me." He stepped closer, and she fought the urge to back away. "You're not just anything," he said, his voice intense. "You're sentence, not wolf. Not entirely. It's like the stories my pack tells, of queens who walked with the moon." Hannah's breath caught. "Lila said something like that. Lunar queens. But that's a myth." Cale tilted his head. "My packs, Seer Vera, saw you in a vision. A girl who doesn't shift, with power sleeping in her blood." "I didn't believe her until I scented you." She shook her head. "You're wrong. I'm not powerful. I'm about to be banished." Cale's eyes narrowed. "Then they're fools." "But you can't stay here, Hannah. If I'm right, others will come for you. Ones who'd kill to claim your power." "Claim me," she said, her voice rising. "I'm not some prize." "No," he said softly. "You're a queen, and if you're mine." He stopped, his jaw tightening. Her heart stuttered. "Yours? What are you talking about?" He looked away, his fists clenched. "My wolf, it knows you. It's a mate bond, but I won't force it. You deserve a choice." Hannah stared at him, her mind spinning. Mate bond. She'd heard of it, the sacred connection between wolves. But she wasn't a wolf. "I don't even know what that means," she admitted. "It means," Cale said, his voice, "said I'd burn the world to keep you safe. But it's not just me. Your power writ's waking. You feel it, don't you?" She hesitated. Sometimes, under the moon, she felt a hum in her chest, like a song she couldn't grasp. But power. "I don't know," she whispered. Cale nodded, as if expecting that. "Then keep it secret. Don't trust anyone, not even your family. They knew what you are, they'd be in danger too." "Stop talking in riddles," she snapped. "If you know something, tell me." "I'm trying," he said, frustration flashing in his eyes. "But I need to be sure. Meet me tomorrow. I'll show you what I mean." Before she could argue, he stepped back, his form blurring as he shifted into his wolf and vanished into the night. Hannah stood alone, her mind a tangle of fear and possibility. Mate, bond, queen, power. It was too much, but she couldn't deny the spark in her chest. Faint, but real. Chapter 5. The next morning, Hannah woke to chaos. She stepped outside to find the pack gathered in the square, Roland's voice ringing out. "The council has spoken. Hannah Voss's banishment is set for the new moon." Her knees buckled, but she forced herself to stay upright. Lila was at her side in an instant, her face pale. "They can't do this," she hissed. "Not now." "They can," Hannah said, her voice hollow. She scanned the crowd. Clara's face was tight with grief, but she didn't meet Hannah's eyes. Marcus was absent, likely at the Elder's Lodge. Ethan stood with his friends, his expression blank. No one spoke for her. Cale and his pack were at the edge, watching silently. His eyes met hers, and she saw a flicker of anger there. But he didn't move. She remembered his warning. Keep it secret. That afternoon, Hannah slipped away to the pack's archive shed, a dusty building filled with scrolls and ledgers. If Cale was right, she needed answers. The keeper, old Silas, was dozing, so she crept inside, his fingers brushing over faded texts. She found it in a crumbling book, its pages marked with moon symbols. "The Lunar Queen," she read, her voice a whisper, born of wolf and star blood, shifts not as beast, but as light. Her powers sleep until the blood moon calls. The words sent a chill through her. Star blood, light. She tucked the page into her shirt and fled, her mind racing. At the ravine that night, she showed Cale the text. He read it, his expression grim. "This confirms it," he said. "You're a lunar queen, Hannah, but you're untrained and vulnerable. We need to start now." "Start what?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Waking your power," he said. "If you don't, it'll burn you from the inside when it comes. And it's coming soon." She stared at him, the weight of banishment and destiny crashing over her. "What if I can't do it?" "You can," he said, his voice fierce. "You're stronger than you know, and I'm here." For the first time, Hannah felt a flicker of belief. She nodded, her resolve hardening. "Then show me." As they began, the moon watched, its light a promise or a threat. Chapter 6. The forest was cloaked in dusk as Hannah followed Cale deeper into the woods, away from the silverthorn pack's prying eyes. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and impending rain, and her boots sank into the damp earth. Cale moved with purpose, his strides long and sure, his black hair catching the fading light. Hannah's heart raced, not just from the pace, but from the weight of his words the night before. Lunar Queen, power, destiny. She clutched the stolen archive page in her pocket, its words burned into her mind. They reached a secluded clearing, ringed by ancient oaks. Cale stopped, turning to face her. "This is far enough," he said, his voice low but firm. "No one will hear us here." Hannah crossed her arms, her nerves fraying. "You keep saying I'm this, Lunar Queen. But you haven't explained what that means." "Not really. Who are you, Cale? Why do you know so much?" He studied her, his storm-gray eyes unreadable. "Fair question," he said, leaning against a tree. "Cly, the iron cloud, isn't like yours. We're rogue-born outcasts, runaways, survivors. We don't bow to tradition or fear what's different. Our elders passed down stories the settled packs have forgotten." "Stories about what?" Hannah pressed, her voice sharp. "And don't give me vague answers this time." Cale's lips twitched, a flicker of amusement breaking his intensity. "You're stubborn. Good. You'll need that." He straightened, his tone growing serious. "Long ago, before packs like existed, there were beings older than wolves. Starblood, the archives called them. They weren't bound by the shift, but by the moon itself. Lunar queens were their daughters, born to wolf mothers but carrying that ancient power. They could heal, destroy, or unite packs with a single act. Most were hunted to extinction by those who feared them or wanted their power." Hannah's throat tightened. "And you think I'm one of them because of my scent?" "Not just your scent," Cale said, stepping closer. "It's the way the air shifts around you, the way my wolf reacts. Vera, our seer, saw you in a vision, a girl who doesn't shift, standing under a blood moon, light pouring from her. I didn't believe her until I met you." She shook her head, her mind reeling. "This is insane. I'm not a queen. I'm just Hannah, the girl who can't shift." "You're more," Cale insisted, his voice fierce. "Your pack calls you cursed because they're blind. But you're not broken, Hannah. You're dormant. And if you don't wake your power soon, it'll wake itself, and that could kill you." Her stomach twisted. "Kill me? You didn't mention that part before?" "I didn't want to scare you," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "But the blood moon's coming in 2 weeks. If Vera's right, that's when your power will crest. We need to prepare you." Hannah's legs felt unsteady, and she sank onto a fallen log. "Prepare me how? I don't even know where to start." Cale crouched in front of her, his gaze steady, with trust. "I know that's hard after what your pack's done to you. But I'm not them. My pack isn't them. So we'll teach you, but you have to let us." She looked into his eyes, searching for deceit, but finding only sincerity, something deeper, that pull she'd felt since he first looked at her. "Okay," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "But if you're wrong, I'm going to look like an idiot." He grinned, a rare flash of warmth. "I'm not wrong. Let's start tonight." Before she could respond, a twig snapped. Nearby, Kale's head whipped around, his body tensing. Sable, his second, emerged from the trees, her wiry frame taut with urgency. "Kale," she said, her voice low. "Roland's Patas are sniffing around. They're suspicious of you lingering near her." Kale cursed under his breath. "Keep them distracted," he told Sable. "We can't let them know what she is." Sable glanced at Hannah, her expression guarded but not hostile. "Be careful, Alpha. She's not one of us yet." "Yet," Kale repeated, his tone firm, nodded, and slipped back into the shadows. Hannah's heart pounded. "They're watching me, always," Kale said, standing. "Alphas. No fool. He knows I'm interested in you, even if he doesn't know why. Come on, we'll train somewhere safer tomorrow." As they parted, Hannah's mind churned. Kale's words, Sable's warning, the looming blood moon, it was too much. But for the first time, she felt a spark of hope. Maybe she wasn't cursed. Maybe she was something more. Chapter 7. The next evening. Hannah met Kale at a hidden cave near the river, its entrance cloaked by vines. The Ironcloud pack had scouted it as a safe training ground, far from Silverthorn's patrols. Inside, the air was cool and damp, the walls glinting with quartz. Torin, the young Ironcloud wolf who'd befriended Leela, stood guard outside, his easy grin replaced by a vigilant stare. Kale lit a small fire, its light casting shadows on the cave walls. "The first step is feeling your power," he said, sitting cross-legged across from her. "Close your eyes. Focus on the moon, even if you can't see it." Hannah hesitated, then obeyed, her eyelids fluttering shut. "This feels stupid," she muttered. "Focus," Kale said, his voice calm but firm. "Think about the hum you feel sometimes, under the moon. Find it." She tried, her mind drifting to the nights she'd stood under the stars, yearning for her wolf. There it was, a faint pulse in her chest, like a heartbeat, but deeper, wilder. "I feel something," she said, her voice uncertain. "Good," Kale said. "Now pull it. Don't force it. Just bite it." Hannah frowned, her brows knitting. Together, she imagined the pulse growing, spreading through her veins like light. Her skin tingled, and her breath caught. "It's warm," she whispered. "Keep going," Kale urged. "Let it move." She pushed harder, her hands clenching into fists. The warmth surged, then flared into a sharp burn. She gasped, her eyes flying open. "It hurts." Kale was at her side in an instant, his hand on her shoulder. "Breathe, Hannah. You're fighting it. Let it flow." "I can't," she said, her voice shaking. "It's too much." "You can," he said, his tone steady. "You're stronger than you think. Try again." She glared at him, frustration bubbling up. "Why are you so sure? You don't even know me." "I know enough," he said, his eyes locking onto hers. "I know you've survived years of their scorn. I know you're still standing. And I know my wolf doesn't lie. You're my mate, Hannah, whether you believe it or not." Her breath hitched. "Stop saying that. I don't even know what it means." "It means you're not alone," he said softly. "Not anymore." She looked away, her chest tight. She wanted to believe him, but trust was a fragile thing. Stem, she closed, her eyes again focusing on the pulse. This time, she let it move without pushing, like water finding its path. The burn eased, replaced by a soft glow in her mind's eye. Her hands tingled, and when she opened her eyes, a faint shimmer danced across her fingertips. Kale's eyes widened. There it is, he breathed. That's your power. Kana stared at her hands, her heart's pounding. What is it? The moon's light, he said. It's in you. We just need to teach you how to use it. A day you trained for. Hours, Kale, guiding her to channel the energy without letting it overwhelm her. By the time they stopped, Hannah was exhausted but exhilarated. For the first time, she felt like she might be more than a failure. As they left the cave, Torin greeted them with a nod. No trouble, he said. But Leela's been asking for you, Hannah. She's worried. Hannah's stomach twisted. She hadn't seen Lila since yesterday, too caught up in Kale's revelations. I'll find her, she said. Thanks, Torin. Kale walked her part way back, his expression serious. Be careful what you tell her, he warned. She's your friend, but she's still Silverthorn. Hannah nodded, but her heart sank. Lila was her anchor. Could she really keep this from her? Chapter 8. The next morning, Hannah found Lila by the river, skipping stones across the water. The sun was high, glinting off the ripples, and Lila's red hair glowed like fire. She turned as Hannah approached, her face lighting up, then darkening, with suspicion. Where have you been? Lila demanded, tossing a stone aside. You've been sneaking off with Kale, haven't you? Torin said. You're training or something? Kana hesitated, Kale's warning echoing in her mind. Yeah, she said, choosing her words carefully. He's helping me figure out why I can't shift. It's complicated. Leela's eyes narrowed. Complicated how? You're shutting me out, hon. I thought we were best friends. We are, Hannah said, her voice pleading. But it's dangerous. I don't want you caught up in it. Caught up in what? Leela snapped. You're acting like you're some big secret now. What's Cal telling you? Hannah's throat tightened. She wanted to tell Leela everything, the Lunar Queen, the power, the blood moon, but Kale's words held her back. He thinks I might have some kind of ability, she said vaguely. Something different. Lila's face twisted, a mix of hurt and anger. Different. Like what? You're suddenly special? You're leaving me behind, Hannah, just like Ethan did. That's not true, Hannah said, stepping closer. I'm trying to protect you. Protect me? Lila laughed bitterly. I've been protecting you for years, standing up to the pack, sticking by you when everyone else turned away. And now you're choosing a rogue over me. I'm not choosing anyone, Hannah said, her voice breaking. Leela, please, I need you, okay? But Leela shook her head, backing away. You don't need me. You've got Kale now. She turned and stormed off, leaving Hannah alone by the river. That afternoon, the pack's mood was tense. Roland summoned Hannah to the Elder's Lodge, a squat building of stone and timber. Inside, Clara and Marcus sat with the council, their faces grim. Ethan was there too, standing in a corner, his arms crossed. Roland fixed Hannah with a cold stare. You've been seen with the rogue alpha, he said, whispering, sneaking off. What are you plotting? Hannah's heart pounded. Nothing, she said, her voice steady despite her fear. He's just talking to me about the alliance. Liar, Ethan spat, stepping forward. Lila told me you're training with him. She said he thinks you're special. What's that about, Hannah? Trying to betray us to the rogues. Her blood ran cold. Leela had betrayed her. I'm not betraying anyone, she said, her voice shaking. I'm just trying to understand myself. Roland leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. You're a liability. Always have been. Lock her in the holding shed until we decide what to do. Marcus stood, his face pale. Roland, she's my daughter. Sit down, Marcus. Roland snapped. You've coddled her too long. Clara grabbed Marcus's arm, pulling him back. Ethan looked away, his jaw tight. Two betas seized Hannah, dragging her to a small shed at the village's edge. They shoved her inside, the door slamming shut with a heavy thud. Hannah sank to the bed. Dirt floor, her mind reeling. Leela's betrayal cut deeper than the lock's click. She'd trusted her, and now she was alone. Her fate sealed. Chapter 9. The shed was cold, the air stale with the scent of moldy wood. Hannah curled up in a corner, her knees drawn to her chest. Moonlight seeped through a crack in the wall, taunting her. She'd been locked away for hours, her mind a storm of fear and betrayal. Lila's words echoed, "You're leaving me behind." Had she really told Ethan everything out of jealousy? A soft scrape outside snapped her out of her thoughts. She tensed, listening. Then the door creaked open, and Sable slipped inside, her dark eyes glinting. "Get up," she whispered. "We're getting you out." Hannah scrambled to her feet, her heart racing. "Why are you helping me?" "Kale's orders," Sable said, her tone clipped. "He says you're important. I don't trust you yet, but I trust him." Before Hannah could respond, Torrin appeared at the door, holding a knife. "Hurry," he hissed. "The betas are distracted, but it won't last." They moved silently through the village, sticking to the shadows. Hannah's pulse pounded as they reached the forest's edge, where Kale waited with 2 other Ironclaw wolves, a burly man named Gavin and a quiet woman named Mira. Kale's eyes met hers, relief flashing across his face. "You okay?" he asked, his voice low. "No," Hannah said, her voice trembling. "Lila betrayed me. They think I'm plotting with you." Kale's jaw tightened. "I was afraid of that. We're leaving now. You're coming with us?" "Leaving?" Hannah's stomach dropped. "I can't just. You can't stay." Kale cut in. "Rollins ready to kill you, or worse. My pack will protect you." She glanced back at the village, her home for 18 years. Her parents, Ethan, Lilad, they'd all turned away from her. The thought of leaving hurt, but staying meant death. "Okay," she whispered. They moved swiftly through the forest, the iron-cloud wolves fanning out to cover their tracks. Hannah struggled to keep up, her legs burning. Kale stayed close, his presence steadying her. "You did the right thing," he said quietly. "I know it doesn't feel like it now. It feels like I'm running away," she said, her voice bitter. "You're surviving," he corrected. "There's a difference." By dawn, they reached a hidden trail leading into the mountains. Hannah's chest ached, not just from exhaustion, but from the weight of leaving everything behind. She thought of Lila's hurt face, her parents' silence, Ethan's disdain. Could she ever go back? As the sun rose, Kale paused, turning to her. "You're one of us now," he said. "Huh? Whatever happens, we've got your back." Hannah nodded, her throat tight. She didn't feel like one of them, not yet, but for the first time, she wasn't alone. Chapter 10. The Ironcloud camp was nestled in a valley, hidden by cliffs and dense forest. Cabins of rough-hewn logs blended into the landscape, their roofs covered in moss. Wolves patrolled the perimeter, their eyes sharp and wary. Hannah felt like an intruder as she followed Kale through the camp, the Ironcloud pack watching her with curiosity and suspicion. "This is home," Kale said, gesturing to the valley. "It's not much, but it's ours." "It's different," Hannah said, taking in the organized chaos, children playing, warriors training, elders tending a communal fire. It was freer than Silverthorn, but there was an edge to it, a sense of constant vigilance. Siebel led her to a small cabin, her expression still guarded. "You'll stay here," she said. "Don't wander without permission. Not everyone trusts." "You got it," Hannah said, trying to keep her voice steady. Sable's distrust stung, but she couldn't blame her. Inside, the cabin was sparse but clean, with a cot and a small table. Hannah sank onto the cot, her body aching as she pulled out the archive page, its words a lifeline. Luna Queen, Starblood. She still didn't fully believe it. But the shimmer in her hands last night had been real. Kale knocked and entered, his presence filling the small space. "You need rest," he said, "but first, meet Vera. She's been waiting." Key led her to a larger cabin, where an older woman with silver hair and sharp green eyes sat by a fire. Vera, the seer, studied Hannah with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "So you're the one," Vera said, her voice like dry leaves. "Sit. Let me see you." Hannah sat, her nerves jangling. "Kel says you had a vision about me." Vera nodded, her eyes narrowing. A girl who doesn't shift, standing under a blood moon, light and shadow, at war within her. "You're a lunar queen, child, but your path is dangerous. Your power can unite packs or tear them apart." Hannah's mouth went dry. "I don't want to tear anything apart." "What? Doesn't matter," Vera said sharply. "Power chooses its own course. You must learn to wield it, or it will wield you." Kale stepped forward, his voice firm. "That's why we're here, Vera, to teach her." The seer's gaze softened slightly. "Good, because enemies are coming. The Black Ridge pack hunts. Lunar queens. They'll center soon, if they haven't already." Hannah's heart sank. "Black Ridge? The pack Roland's scared of?" "The same," Kale said, his expression grim. "Their alpha, Darius, is ruthless. If he learns what you are, he'll stop at nothing to claim you." "Claim me," Hannah said, her voice rising. "Why does everyone keep saying that?" "Because your power is rare," Vera said. "It can tip the balance. Darius wants to control, it'll destroy it." Hannah looked at Kale, fear and determination warring within her. "Then we start training." "Now," he nodded, a spark of pride in his eyes. "Tomorrow, tonight, you rest. You're no good to anyone." Exhausted. As she returned to her cabin, Hannah felt the weight of her new reality. The Ironclaw pack was her refuge, but it came with a price. She thought of Lila, her betrayal still raw, and her family left behind. But here, with Kale and Vera, she had a chance to become something more. She just had to survive long enough to claim it. Chapter 11. The Ironclaw camp buzzed with quiet energy as the blood moon rose, its crimson light bathing the valley in an eerie glow. Hannah stood in a clearing with Kale, Vera, in a small circle of Ironclaw, Wolf Sable, Torin, Gavin, and Myra watching her with a mix of awe and wariness. The air felt charged, pressing against her skin like a storm about to break. Her heart pounded, the hum in her chest now a roar, amplified by the moon's pull. "Are you sure about this?" Hannah asked, her voice trembling as she faced Kale. "What if I mess it up?" "You won't," Kale said, his storm-gray eyes steady. "You've been training for this. The blood moon's power will draw out what's in you. Trust it." "Easy for you to say," she muttered, wiping her sweaty palms on her pants. "You're not the one who might explode or something." Vera, standing nearby with a staff carved with the moon symbols, chuckled dryly. "No exploding, child. But you must let go. Your power isn't a wolf, it's light. Star blood. Stop trying to shift like they do." Hannah nodded, but doubt gnawed at her. For days, she'd trained with Kale in the cave, coaxing the shimmer in her hands to grow, to move. It was erratic, sometimes flaring bright, sometimes fading to nothing. Now, under the blood moon, the energy felt like a wildfire, barely contained. Sable crossed her arms, her dark eyes skeptical. "If she's really a lunar queen, this should be spectacular. Or a disaster." "Helpful, Sable," Torin said, shooting her a grin. "Maybe try encouraging her for once." Sable snorted, but didn't argue. "Okay." Gavin, the burly warrior, shifted uncomfortably, while Mira, the quiet one, watched Hannah with a faint, hopeful smile. Kale stepped closer, his voice low. "Ignore them. Focus on me. On the moon. You feel it, don't you?" She did. The hum was a song now, vibrating through her bones. She closed her eyes, picturing the light she'd seen in her hands, letting it spread. Her skin warmed, then burned. But she didn't fight it this time. She breathed deeply, letting the energy flow like a river. A gasp from Torin made her eyes snap open. Her hands glowed, not faintly, but brilliantly, like liquid starlight. The light spread, enveloping her arms, her chest, until her entire body shimmered with a radiant, silvery aura. She didn't shift into a wolf. Her form remained human, but she felt taller, stronger, as if the moon itself was inside her. Holy gods, Gavin whispered, stepping back. Vera's eyes gleamed. There it is, the Lunar Queen. Hannah's heart soared, but the power surged too fast, making her dizzy. She stumbled, the light flickering. Kale caught her, his hand steady on her shoulders. Breathe, he said. You're in control. I don't feel in control, she gasped, the light pulsing erratically. You are, he said fiercely. You're doing this? Hold on to it. She focused on his voice, grounding herself. The light stabilized, settling into a steady glow. The ironclad wolves stared, some dropping to their knees. Sable's skepticism vanished, replaced by awe. Torin let out a whoop, and even Myra clapped softly. Hannah laughed, a shaky sound. I did it. You did, Kale said, his smile warm. You're incredible. Vera stepped forward, her staff tapping the ground. Okay. This is only the beginning, child. Okay. This power will grow, and so will the danger. You're a beacon now. Hannah's glow faded, leaving her trembling but exhilarated. She looked at Kale, her heart full. What now? Now, he said, we teach you to wield it. But tonight, you rest. You've earned it. As the wolves dispersed, Hannah felt their reverence, their loyalty. She wasn't an outcast here. She was their queen. Chapter 12. The next morning, the camp was tense. Scouts reported signs of intruders' broken branches, unfamiliar scents near the valley's edge. Hannah sat in Vera's cabin, sipping bitter tea, as Kale and Sable argued over the threat. It's Blackridge, Sable said, pacing. I know their stench. Darius is testing our borders. Kale's jaw tightened. If he's sniffing around, he's heard rumors about Hannah. We need 2 double patrols. Hannah's stomach churned. Darius, the alpha who hunts lunar queens. Vera nodded, her green eyes grave. He's built his pack on fear and conquest. If he knows what you are, he'll want your power or your death. Why me? Hannah asked, her voice small, barely. Understand what I am. 'Cause you're a threat, Kale said, leaning forward. A lunar queen can shift the balance of power. Darius wants to control every pack in these mountains. Cute. Stop him. Or he'll stop me, she said, her hands trembling around her cup. Not if we stop him first, Sable said, her tone fierce. We're not defenseless, but we need to know his plan. Torin burst into the cabin, breathless. Scouts found a Blackridge spy. Gavin's got him tied up in the clearing. Kale was on his feet in an instant. Let's go. Hannah followed, her heart pounding. In the clearing, Gavin stood over a wiry man with a scarred face, his hands bound. The ironclad wolves formed a circle, their eyes hard. Mira lingered at the edge, her quiet presence a contrast to the tension. Kale crouched in front of the spy. Talk, he said, his voice cold. Wise. Darius sniffing around. The spy sneered. You think I'm scared of a rogue alpha? Darius knows about your girl, the one who glows. He's coming for her. Hannah's blood ran cold. Kel grabbed the spy's collar, lifting him. When? Where? The spy laughed, blood on his teeth. Too late to run. He's closer than you think. Before Kale could press further, a howl split the air sharp. Urgent. Sable's head whipped around. Eastern Patrol. We're under attack. Kale dropped the spy, turning to Hannah. Stay with Vera. Do not leave her side. I can help, Hannah protested, her voice rising. I have power now. You're not ready, he snapped. Stay safe. I shifted into his black wolf form and sprinted toward the sound. Sable, Torin, Gavin, and Mira following. Vera gripped Hannah's arm, pulling her toward the cabin. He's right, she said. You're a target. Come. But as they reached the cabin, a crash echoed from the eastern edge. Black ridge wolves poured into the camp, their snarls filling the air. Hannah's heart raced as her power surged, unbidden. Light flared from her hands, bright and wild. Vera's eyes widened. Control it, child, Hannah tried, but the light pulsed, drawing every eye. A black ridge wolf lunged, and she instinctively threw out her hands. A burst of light slammed into the wolf, sending it sprawling. The others hesitated, fear in their eyes. Get inside, Vera shouted, shoving her toward the cabin. Hannah obeyed, her mind reeling. She fought back, but she'd also revealed herself. Darius knew where she was now. Chapter 13. The attack was repelled, but not without cost. 2 ironclad wolves were injured, and the camp was on edge. Hannah sat by the communal fire that night, her hands still trembling from her outburst. Cale joined her, his face wary, but his eyes soft. You okay? He asked, sitting close enough that their shoulders brushed. No, she admitted, staring into the flames. I didn't mean to use it like that. I just reacted. You saved lives, he said. That wolf would have killed Vera if you hadn't stopped it. She shook her head. I made it worse. They know what I am now. He reached for her hand, his touch warm. They were going to find out, eventually. What matters is you're learning, and you're not alone. She looked at him, the mate bond humming between them. Why do you believe in me so much? You barely know me. Cale's gaze was intense. I know you're brave. I know you faced rejection and kept going. And I know my wolf chose you the moment I saw you. That's enough for me. Her heart fluttered, but fear lingered. What if my power hurts you, or the pack? It won't, he said, his voice firm. I trust you, Hannah. I wish you'd trust yourself. She wanted to argue, but his certainty steadied her. She squeezed his hand, a silent promise. I'm trying, she whispered. Torin approached, his usual grin subdued. You two done being mushy? We've got a problem. The spy's gone. Someone cut his ropes. Cale's face darkened. A traitor. Looks like it, Torin said. Spells tracking the scent, but it's fresh. Whoever it was is still here. Hannah's stomach twisted. Someone in your pack? Cale stood, his jaw tight. We'll find them. Stay with Torin. She left. Hannah felt the weight of the bond, the responsibility. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for them all. Chapter 14. The next day, Vera summoned Hannah to her cabin. The seer sat by her fire, a leather-bound book open on her lap. Sit, she said, her voice sharp. We need to talk about the prophecy. Hannah sat, her nerves jangling. You mentioned it before, about me saving or dooming packs. Vera nodded, her green eyes piercing. It's older than me, older than any pack. A lunar queen will rise under the blood moon. Her light, a beacon of salvation or ruin. Her choice will shape the fate of all. Hannah's mouth went dry. My choice. What does that mean? It means your power is tied to your heart, Vera said. If you wield it with fear or anger, it could destroy everything. If you wield it with purpose, you could unite us. Unite who? Hannah asked. Iron Clown, Silverthorn, all packs, Vera said. CS seeks to dominate, but a lunar queen could bring balance. But you're not ready. You doubt yourself too much. Hannah bristled. I'm trying. I glowed last night, didn't I? You did? Vera conceded. But raw power isn't enough. You need control, conviction, and you need to face your past. My past. Hannah's voice faltered. You mean Silverthorn? Vera's gaze softened. Your family. Your friend. They shaped you, for better or worse. You carry their wounds. Until you face them, you'll never be whole. Hannah looked away, her throat tight. She thought of Leela's betrayal, Clara's coldness, Marcus's silence, Ethan's disdain. I don't know if I can. You must, Vera said. Or the prophecy's doom will find you. Cale entered, his expression grim. Sable found the traitor's scent. It leads to the northern ridge, but is faint. They're gone. Hannah's heart sank. Who was it? We don't know, Cale said. Okay, but they're working with Blackridge. We need to move the camp, fortify our defenses. Vera closed her book. And you, Hannah, need to train harder. The next attack won't be a skirmish. Hannah nodded, her resolve hardening. I'm ready. But as she left the cabin, doubt lingered. Could she face her past, her power, and the prophecy without breaking? Chapter 15. The camp buzzed with preparations, wolves packing supplies and reinforcing barricades. Hannah trained with Cale in the cave, her light steadier, but still unpredictable. She could summon it now, but controlling its intensity was like taming a storm. During a break, Torin brought news. We found a stash of Blackridge weapons hidden in the woods. Someone's been sneaking them in. Cale's eyes narrowed. One of ours? Torin nodded, his face grim. The scent matches the traitor's. It's someone close. Hannah's stomach twisted. Who could it be? Not many options, Sable said, joining them. Her voice was cold, her eyes flicking to Hannah. Could be someone new. Someone we don't fully trust. Hannah stiffened. You think it's me? Didn't say that, Sable said, but her tone was sharp. It's to saying, we don't know you enough. Cale snapped. Hannah's not the traitor. She fought Blackridge yesterday. Spiel shrugged, but didn't argue. Mira, who'd been silent, spoke up. It's not Hannah. It's a sense older, from before she came. Hannah shot Mira a grateful look. Then who? We'll find him, Cale said. But we need to act fast. Darius is closing in. That night, the traitor struck. A fire broke out in the supply shed, flames licking the sky. Hannah woke. 2 shouts, her power flaring instinctively. She ran outside, joining Cale and the others as they fought the blaze. Gavin hauled water, while Torin and Mira searched for the culprit. It's sabotage. Sable growled, coughing through the smoke. They're weakening us. Hannah's light flared, illuminating the chaos. She focused, directing the glow to the flames, willing it to smother them. To her shock, the fire dimmed, the light somehow starving it. The wolves stared, awestruck. How'd you do that? Torin asked, wide-eyed. I don't know, Hannah admitted, trembling. I just tried. Cale's hand found hers, squeezing. You're getting stronger. But the victory was short-lived. Scout returned, breathless. Blackridge is massing at the valley's edge. Cale's face hardened. Then we prepare for war. Hannah, you're with me. We need your power. She nodded, fear and determination warring within her. The traitor was still out there, and Darius was coming. Her past, her power, her choice, it was all converging, and she wasn't sure she was ready. Chapter 16. The Ironcloud camp was a fortress of tension as dawn broke. The sky bruised with clouds that mirrored the pack's grim resolve. Hannah stood at the valley's edge, her hands glowing faintly with lunar light, her heart hammering. Cale was beside her, his black wolf form radiating authority, while Sable, Torin, Gavin, and Mira flanked him, their eyes fixed on the forest where Blackridge would emerge. Vera waited at the camp's heart, guarding the elders and young, her staff ready for any who slipped through. They're coming, Sable growled, her nose twitching. I smelled their stench. How many? Hannah asked, her voice steadier. Then she felt. Too many, Torrin said, his usual grin absent. But we've got you, right? That light show's gotta count for something. Hannah managed a weak smile. Hope so. Kale shifted to human form, his storm gray eyes locking onto hers. Stay close to me, he said. Your power's our edge, but Darius will target you. Don't let him get near. I won't, she promised, though fear gnawed at her. The prophecy echoed in her mind. Salvation or ruin. She couldn't afford to fail. A howl shattered the silence, followed by the thunder of paws. Black ridge wolves burst from the trees, their forms sleek and brutal, led by a massive gray wolf, with scars crisscrossing his muzzled eyes. Hannah's breath caught as her power surged, unbidden, her body glowing brighter. Here we go, Gavin roared, shifting and charging into the fray. Mira followed, her lithe wolf form darting between enemies. Sable and Torrin held the line, their snarls mixing with the clash of teeth and claws. Kale grabbed Hannah's arm. Now, Hannah, use your light. She raised her hands, focusing on the energy humming in her chest. Light erupted, a radiant wave that slammed into the nearest Black Ridge wolves, knocking them back. The Ironclad pack cheered, their morale surging, but Darius's eyes fixed on her, cold and calculating. He's coming for me, Hannah said, her voice trembling. Let him try, Kale snarled, shifting back to his wolf form. He lunged at a Black Ridge wolf, closing in, tearing into it with lethal precision. Hannah channeled her light again, aiming for Darius, but he dodged, his movements unnaturally fast. Her power flickered, her control slipping under the chaos. A Black Ridge wolf tackled her, its jaws snapping at her throat. She screamed, thrusting her glowing hands into its chest. The wolf yelped, thrown back by a burst of light, but the effort left her dizzy. Hannah, Torrin shouted, fighting his way to her, kicked another wolf off her, his face bloodied but fierce. You okay? Barely, she gasped, scrambling to her feet. Where's Kale? Torrin pointed to the center of the battle, where Kale and Darius clashed, their wolves a blur of black and gray. Blood stained the ground, and Hannah's heart lurched. Kale was strong, but Darius was relentless. His scars, proof of countless victories. I have to help him, she said, her light flaring again. You're not trained for this, Sable shouted, appearing beside her, her arm bleeding. You'll get yourself killed. I have to try, Hannah snapped, pushing past her. She wove through the battle, her light pulsing erratically. She reached Kale, just as Darius pinned him, his jaws closing on Kale's shoulder. Kale's pained snarl tore through her. Get off him, Hannah roared, unleashing a blast of light. Qua struck Darius, sending him sprawling, but the effort drained her. She fell to her knees, her vision swimming. Kale staggered to his feet, blood streaming from his wound. He shifted to human form, his face pale. Hannah shouldn't have shut up, she said, tears burning her eyes. I'm not losing you. Carius recovered, his wolf form stalking closer. The Ironclad pack rallied, Gavin and Myra driving back his allies, but Darius's focus was on Hannah. She stood, her light dim but defiant, shielding Kale. You're the queen, Darius growled, his voice deep and guttural as he shifted to human form, a towering man with a cruel smile. Come with me, and your rogue dies quickly. Never, Hannah spat, her hands glowing faintly. You'll have to kill me first. Darius laughed, stepping closer. That can be arranged. Before he could strike, Sable and Torrin flanked him, their wolves snarling. The battle surged around them, but Hannah's world narrowed to Darius. She summoned every ounce of strength, her light flaring one last time, but it sputtered, her body spent. Kale grabbed her, pulling her back. We're retreating, he rasped. Now, no, she protested, but he was already dragging her toward the camp, the Ironclad wolves, covering their retreat. Darius's laughter echoed as Blackridge pressed their advantage, forcing them back. Chapter 17. The Ironclad camp was a scene of chaos. The wounded sprawled across the central clearing. Vera moved among them, her hands steady as she bandaged wounds, but her face was grim. Hannah knelt beside Kale in Vera's cabin, her hands shaking as she pressed a cloth to his bleeding shoulder. His face was ashen, his breathing shallow. "Stay with me," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You can't leave me, Cal." He managed a weak smile. "Not planning to." Vera entered, her staff clacking against the floor. "Move, child," she said, kneeling beside Kale. She examined his wound, her expression darkening. "This is deep. He's lost too much blood." Hannah's heart clenched. "Can you save him?" "I'm a seer, not a healer," Vera said, her voice sharp. "But you might." "Me?" Hannah's eyes widened. "I don't know how." "Your power isn't just for fighting," Vera said, her green eyes piercing. "Lunar Queens could heal too. A light in you, it's life. Find it." Hannah's throat tightened. "What if I hurt him worse?" "You won't," Kale rasped, his hand finding hers. "I trust you." She looked into his eyes, seeing the mate bond, the unwavering faith. She nodded, closing her eyes. The hum was faint, drowned by exhaustion, but she coaxed it forward, picturing Kale's strength, his warmth. Her hands glowed, softer than before, a gentle silver light. "Focus," Vera said, guided to his wound. Hannah pressed her glowing hands to Kale's shoulder, the light seeping into his skin. He gasped, his body tensing, but the bleeding slowed, the torn flesh knitting together. Her own strength waned, but she held on, pouring everything into him. "Enough," Vera said, pulling her back. "You'll kill yourself." Hannah slumped, her vision blurring. Kale sat up, his color returning, his eyes wide with awe. "You did it," he said, his voice hoarse. "You saved me." She smiled weakly, tears streaming down her face. "Told you I wasn't losing you." Sable burst into the cabin, her face grim. "We've got a problem. Blackridge didn't follow us. They're regrouping, but they torched our supply lines. We're low on food and weapons." Torrin followed, his arm bandaged, and the traitors still out there. "We found more sabotage-cut ropes on the barricades on us." Stomach twisted. "They're trying to starve us out." Kale stood, wincing but steady. "We need to hit back. Find their camp, disrupt their plans." "You're not fighting yet," Vera snapped. "You need rest." And Hannah's drained. "I'm fine," Hannah lied, though her body felt like lead. "We can't wait for Darius to attack again." Kale looked at her, pride and worry in his eyes. "We'll plan tomorrow. Tonight, we mourn our losses and rebuild." As they stepped outside, Hannah saw Gavin and Mira tending to the wounded, their faces etched with grief. The camp felt smaller, the weight of the battle heavy. She'd saved Kale, but at what cost? The prophecy loomed, her choice unclear. Chapter 18. The next morning. Hannah woke to a dull ache in her bones, her power a faint flicker after healing Kale. The camp was quiet. The Ironclad pack working to repair the damage from the attack. She found Kale in the clearing, sparring with Gavin, his movements slower but determined. "You're supposed to be resting," she said, crossing her arms. Kale grinned, dodging a blow. "So are you. Yet here you are." Gavin laughed, stepping back. "She's got you there, Alpha." Hannah rolled her eyes, but joined them, needing to move, to feel useful. Vera said, "I can heal," she said, "but I need to control my power better. Can you help?" Kale nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. "We'll train together. Your light's stronger now, but it's wild. We need precision." Spell approached, her expression less hostile than before. "I'll help," she said. "Oh, you saved Kale. That's enough for me to trust you for now." Hannah raised an eyebrow. "Gee, thanks." Sable's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Tant, don't push it." They moved to the cave, where Mira and Torin joined them. Vera watched, her staff tapping rhythmically. "Start with focus," she said. "Your light reacts to your emotions. Fear makes it chaotic. Anger makes it destructive. Find balance." Nodded, closing her eyes. She pictured the moon, calm and steady, letting the hum rise. Her hands glowed, but the light wavered, spiking with her lingering fear from the battle. "Too much," Kel said, his voice calm. "Breathe. Think of something steady." She thought of him, his hand in hers, his faith in her. The light softened. Flowing smoothly, she opened her eyes, smiling. "Better." "Much," Kel said, his eyes warm. "Now, try directing it." He held up a wooden shield, nodding for her to aim. She focused, sending a beam of light. Struck the shield, charring it, but not breaking through. Torin whistled. "Not bad." "Again," Sable said. "Narrow it, like a blade." Anna tried, her brow furrowing. The beam sharpened, slicing a thin line across the shield. She grinned, exhilarated. "I did it." Ira clapped her quiet support. "Steady." "You're getting stronger," she said softly. They trained for hours, Hannah learning to summon shields of light, to heal minor cuts on Gavin's arm, to push her power without draining herself. By evening, she was exhausted, but confident. Her light, more ally than enemy. As they left the cave, Torin pulled her aside. "I've been thinking about the traitor," he said. "The scent is familiar. I just can't place it." Hannah's stomach tightened. "Someone we know?" "Maybe," he said. "I'll keep digging." Kale joined them, his expression serious. "We're scouting Blackridge's camp tonight." "Hannah, you're staying here." "No way," she protested. "I'm part of this." "You're our queen," he said, his voice firm. "If we lose you, we lose everything." She glared, but relented, knowing he was right. As he leapt with Sable and Gavin, she felt the mate bond, a tether across the distance. She was stronger now, but the war was far from won. Chapter 19. 2 days later, Silverthorn Scout appeared at the camp's edge, disheveled and desperate. Hannah recognized him. Jaron, one of Ethan's friends, his face gaunt. Kale and Hannah met him under guard, Sable and Torin flanking them. "What do you want?" Kale demanded, his voice cold. Joren raised his hands, unarmed. "I'm not here to fight. Silverthorn needs help. Blackridge attacked us, burned half our village. Rollins, dead. We're begging for aid." Hannah's heart stopped. "Dead? What about my family?" Taryn's eyes met hers, filled with pity. "Marcus is alive, leading what's left. Clara's sick, badly. Ethan's fighting, but we're outmatched." Hannah's chest tightened. Her family, despite everything, was still her blood. "Why come to us?" she asked. "You banished me." Joran flinched. "I know, but we heard about you glowing, fighting Blackridge." Leela said, "You're powerful. We need you, Hannah." "Leela." Hannah's voice sharpened. "She betrayed me." "She regrets it," Joran said. "She's been trying to make it right. Please, come back." Kale stepped forward, his jaw tight. "This smells like a trap. Darius could be using them to lure Hannah out." "It's not a trap," Joran insisted. "I swear on the moon, we're dying, Kale. You know Silverthorn's no match for Blackridge now." Hannah looked at Kale, torn. "I have to go," she said. "They're my people, even if they hurt me." "I don't deserve you," Kale said, his voice low. "But if you go, I'm with you. We all are." Sable snorted. "You're risking our pack for hers." Dare not the enemy, Hannah said, meeting Sable's gaze. Darius is. If we help Silverthorn, we weaken him. Torin nodded. She's right. United, we hit harder. Mira spoke. Up, her voice quiet but firm. I'll go too. They need healers. Vera, watching from the edge, nodded. The prophecy speaks of unity. This may be your path, Hannah. Hannah took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. Then we go, for Silverthorn, for all of us. Chapter 20. The journey to Silverthorn was tense. Hannah and the Ironclaw wolves moving swiftly through the forest. Kale stayed close, his senses alert, while Sable scouted ahead. Torin and Mira carried supplies, Gavin guarding the rear. Jordan led the way, his desperation driving him forward. As they neared Silverthorn's village, Hannah's heart ached. The familiar cabins were in ruins, smoke lingering in the air. Survivors huddled in the square, their faces gaunt. Akas stood among them, his hair grayer, his eyes haunted. Thana was at a makeshift barricade, barking orders. Clara lay on a cat, her face flushed with fever. Hannah's arrival drew gasps. Marcus froze, his eyes widening. Hannah, she nodded, her throat tight. I'm here, Father. Ethan approached, his face a mix of guilt and defiance. You're back? After everything? I didn't come for you, she said, her voice steady. I came for the pack. A figure pushed through the crowd. Lila, her red hair tangled, her eyes red from crying. Hannah, she said, her voice breaking. I'm so sorry. Didn't mean for it to happen. And his chest ached, Lila's betrayal still raw. You told them, she said. You got me locked up. I was angry, Lila admitted, tears falling. I thought you were leaving me, but I was wrong. Please, let me help you. Kale stepped forward, his voice cold. She stays under watch. We're here to fight, not settle scores. Marcus nodded, his voice weary. We need you, Hannah. Blackridge is massing for another attack. We can't hold them. Hannah looked at her family, her pack, the people who'd cast her out. She saw their fear, their regret, and felt her power stir, steady and strong. We'll hold them, she said, together. Kale squeezed her hand, his pride clear. What's the plan? We fortified the village, Hannah said, her voice firm. Ironclaw and Silverthorn fight as one. I'll use my light to shield us. Ethan frowned. Your light? What are you now? She's a lunar queen, Vera said, stepping forward, her staff glowing faintly. And she's your only hope. The Silverthorn pack murmured, some in awe, some in doubt. Hannah met their gazes, her resolve unyielding. She was no longer the outcast. She was their queen. She would prove it. Chapter 21. The Silverthorn village was a fortress under siege, its makeshift barricades reinforced with Ironclaw ingenuity. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and fear as dawn broke, the sky heavy with clouds. Hannah stood at the village's center, her hands glowing faintly, her heart pounding with the weight of the prophecy. Blackridge was coming, and this battle would decide everything. Kale was beside her, his shoulder bandaged, but his resolve unshaken. Sable and Gavin coordinated the defenses, their voices sharp as they directed wolves to their posts. Torin and Myra worked with Silverthorn's healers, tending to Clara and others wounded in the previous attack. Marcus and Ethan stood nearby, organizing the remaining Silverthorn warriors, their faces grim but determined. Leela hovered at the edge, her eyes pleading for Hannah's forgiveness. But Hannah kept her focus on the task ahead. They're here, Sable called from the barricade, her voice cutting through the morning chill. Darius is leading them. Hannah's stomach twisted, storm-gray eyes steady. We can do this, he said, his voice low. You can do this. I'm scared, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. What if I can't control it? I doom us all. He took her hand, his touch grounding her. You're not a doom, Anna. You're our salvation. I believe in you. She nodded, drawing strength from his faith. Then, let's end this. A howl split the air, and Blackridge wolves poured from the forest, their numbers overwhelming. Darius led them, his massive gray wolf form a terrifying force. Hannah's power surged, her body glowing with lunar light, brighter than ever. The Silverthorn and Ironcloud wolves rallied around her, their courage bolstered by her presence. Hold the line. Marcus shouted, his voice hoarse but commanding. Ethan stood beside him, his wolf form ready, his eyes flicking to Hannah with a mix of guilt and awe. Hannah, now. Kale roared, shifting into his black wolf and charging into the fray. She raised her hands, summoning a shield of light that flared across the barricade, blocking the first wave of Blackridge wolves. They snarled, clawing at the barrier, but it held for now. Gavin and Sable fought at the edges, their wolves tearing into any who slipped through. Torin and Myra darted between the wounded, dragging them to safety. Darius broke through, his eyes locked on Hannah. He shifted to human form, his scarred face twisted with hunger. You can't hide, Queen, he taunted, his voice carrying over the chaos. Your power is mine. Try taking it, Hannah shot back, her light flaring brighter. She sent a beam at him, but he dodged, his movements unnaturally fast. He lunged, and she barely raised a shield in time, his claws scraping against it. Kale tackled him, their wolves clashing in a blur of teeth and blood. Hannah's heart lurched, but she couldn't focus on them. Blackridge wolves pressed harder, and her shield wavered under the strain. Leela, Hannah shouted, spotting her friend nearby. Okay, help the healers. Keep them safe. Lila nodded, her face set with determination. I've got this, hon. I'm sorry for everything. Go, Hannah said, her voice sharp but not unkind. Leela ran to Mira, helping carry a wounded wolf to safety. The battle raged. Hannah's light holding back the tide but draining her strength. She saw Ethan fall, a Blackridge wolf pinning him. Without thinking, she sent a burst of light, knocking the enemy away. Ethan staggered to his feet, his eyes meeting hers grateful. Ashamed. Thanks, he muttered, before diving back into the fight. Darius broke free from Kale, charging her again. This time, she was ready. She summoned all her power, her body glowing like a star. Enough, she roared, unleashing a wave of light that sent Darius sprawling. The Blackridge wolves faltered, their morale breaking, but her power surged too far. A wild storm threatening to consume her. She fell to her knees, her vision blurring. Kale was at her side, human again, his face bloodied. Hold on. I can't, she gasped, the light burning inside her. It's too much. You can, he said, his voice fierce. You're my queen, our queen. His words anchored her, and she focused, pulling the light back, stabilized, a steady glow. She stood, facing Darius, who rose with a snarl. This ends now, she said, her voice ringing with authority. Chapter 22. Darius circled her, his eyes gleaming with malice. The battle slowed, both packs watching as their leaders faced off. Hannah's light pulsed, a beacon in the chaos, but the prophecy weighed heavy. Salvation or ruin. Killing Darius would end the threat, but at what cost? Would it unleash the destruction Vera feared? You think you can stop me? Darius taunted, his voice dripping with contempt. You're a child playing with power you don't understand. Maybe, Hannah said, her voice steady, but I'm learning fast. God. She glanced at Kale, his face tense but trusting. Okay. Sable and Gavin held the line, their wolves bloodied but unyielding. Marcus and Ethan fought side by side, their bond strained but unbroken. Lila and Mira worked tirelessly, saving lives. This was her pack, both Ironclaw and Silverthorn, and she wouldn't let them fall. Last chance, Darius said, stepping closer. Join me, and I'll spare them. Hannah's light flared, her anger rising. You don't get to decide their fate. She lunged, her light forming a blade-like beam. Darius dodged, but she was faster, her training with Kale paying off. She struck again, grazing his arm. He roared, shifting to his wolf form and charging. She raised a shield, but he broke through, his claws raking her side. Pain seared through her, but she didn't falter. She remembered Vera's words. Your power is tied to your heart. She thought of Kale's faith, Lila's regret, her family's flaws. She didn't want to kill. She wanted to heal, to unite. Instead of striking, she channeled her light into a new form, a soft, enveloping glow. It wrapped around Darius, not burning, but calming, like a lullaby. He froze, his wolf form shuddering, then shifted back to human, his eyes wide with confusion. What are you doing? He gasped, his voice strained. Showing you another way, Hannah said, her voice gentle but firm. You don't have to destroy to win. The light pulsed, soothing his rage. He sank to his knees, his fight draining away. The Black Ridge wolves hesitated, their loyalty wavering. Hannah turned. To them, her light a beacon. Lay down your claws, she said. This doesn't have to end in blood. One by one, they backed off, some shifting to human form, others retreating into the forest. Darius stared at her, his face a mix of defeat and awe. You're different, he muttered. I'm a lunar queen, she said, and I choose life. Kale reached her, his arm around her waist, steadying her. You did it, he whispered, his voice thick with pride. She leaned into him, exhausted but triumphant. We did it. Chapter 23. The battlefield was quiet, the air heavy with the scent of blood and earth. Black Ridge's remnants had fled, and Darius sat bound, his defiance broken. Hannah stood among the Silverthorn and Ironclaw wolves, her light dim but steady, her side bandaged by Mira's careful hands. Marcus approached, his face weary but proud. Hannah, he said, his voice hoarse. Cora, we all were. You're not cursed, you're our salvation. She nodded, her throat tight. I didn't do it for you, she said honestly. I did it for all of us. Double quotes. Clara, weak but recovering, reached for her hand. I'm sorry, she whispered, tears in her eyes. We failed you. Hannah squeezed her hand. Forgiveness, hey. Slow but possible path. We start over now. Ethan stood nearby, his face bruised. I don't know how to make this right, he said, his voice low, but I want to try. Let's help rebuild, Hannah said. That's a start. Lila ran to her, tears streaming. I thought I'd lost you, she said, hugging her tightly. I'll never betray you again, Han, I swear. Hannah hugged her back, the pain of betrayal easing. I know. We're okay. Kale gathered the packs, his voice carrying authority. Silverthorn and Ironclaw fought as one today. We can be stronger together. No more outcasts. No more curses. Wolves cheered, their voices raw but united. Kira stepped forward, her staff raised. The Lunar Queen has spoken, she said. Her light guides us to a new era. Kana met her gaze, the prophecy's weight lifting. She'd chosen salvation, and it had worked. What about Darius? She asked, glancing at the bound alpha. Exile, Kale said. He'll live, but he'll never lead again. Sable nodded, her respect for Hannah clear. I'll escort him out. He won't trouble us again. Torrin grinned, clapping Hannah's shoulder. You're one hell of a queen. You know that? Mira smiled softly. You gave us hope. Gavin, usually stoic, nodded. You're Ironcloud now. And Silverthorn. You're both. Hannah's heart swelled. She'd found her place, not as an outcast, but as a bridge between packs. She looked at Cale, the mate bond, warm and strong. What? Now? She asked. Now, he said, we build something better. Chapter 24. The moon hung full and bright, casting silver light over the Ironcloud camp, where Silverthorn wolves had joined to celebrate their victory. A sacred grove, ringed by ancient pines, was chosen for the ceremonial rogue tradition to honor the mate bond. Hannah stood at the center, her simple dress glowing faintly with her power, her heart racing. Cale faced her, his black hair tied back, his eyes warm with love. Vera officiated, her staff adorned with moonstones. The packs formed a circle, their faces lit with joy. Marcus and Clara stood together, their pride evident. Ethan lingered nearby, his expression softer, a sign of mending bonds. Lila stood with Torin, her smile genuine, their friendship healing. Sable, Gavin, and Mira watched, their loyalty to Hannah now unshakable. Vera raised her staff. The moon binds what the heart chooses, she said, her voice resonant. Hannah, Voss, Lunar Queen, and Cale Ironcloud, Alpha of the Rogues, do you pledge yourselves to each other, to lead and protect as one? I do, Cale said, his voice steady, his eyes never leaving Hannah's. I do, Hannah said, her voice trembling with emotion. The mate bond hummed, a living connection, stronger than ever. Vera placed their hands together, wrapping them with the silver cord. By the moon's light, you were bound. Lead with courage, love with strength. The packs cheered, their voices echoing through the grove. Cale pulled Hannah close, his lips brushing hers in a kiss that sealed their bond. She melted into him, the world fading to just the two of them. I told you, he whispered, his breath warm against her ear. You're my queen, Ken, you're my home, she said, smiling through tears. Lila approached, hugging her tightly. You deserve this, Han, all of it. Torin grinned, nudging Cale. Took you long enough, Alpha. Sable smirked. Don't mess this up, Cale. She's too good for you. He laughed, pulling Hannah closer. I know. As the celebration continued, Hannah felt her power settle, a calm strength. She was no longer the girl who couldn't shift. She was a queen, a mate, a leader. And she was ready for whatever came next. Chapter 25. Months later. The valley thrived, a new alliance between Silverthorn and Ironcloud reshaping the mountains. Hannah walked through the rebuilt village, now a blend of both packs styled Silverthorn's sturdy cabins alongside Ironcloud's moss-covered shelters. Children played, wolves trained, and elders shared stories under a clear sky. She found Cale at the training grounds, sparring with Ethan, their laughter a sign of newfound respect. Marcus and Clara worked nearby, organizing trade with neighboring packs, their faces lighter than Hannah had ever seen. Lila and Toran were inseparable, their banter a constant in the camp. Sibyl led patrols, her sharp mind keeping the peace, while Gavin and Mira trained new healers. Their skills vital to the alliance. Vera joined Hannah, her staff tapping the ground. You've done well, child, she said, her green eyes warm. The prophecy is fulfilled. You chose salvation. Hannah smiled, her light a soft glow within her. It wasn't just me. It was all of us. True, Vera said. But you led the way. What now, Lunar Queen? Hannah looked at the valley, her home. We keep building, she said. No more outcasts, no more fear. Just us. Cale approached, his arm slipping around her waist, ready for the council meeting. He asked, the other packs want to join the alliance. Let them come, she said, her voice confident. We'll show them what unity looks like. As they walked toward the meeting hall, Hannah glanced at the sky. The moon, a faint crescent, promising new beginnings. She'd been the girl who couldn't shift, the outcast, the cursed. Now she was a queen, her light, a beacon for all. The journey had been brutal, but it had led her here to love, to family, to purpose. And she was ready for whatever lay ahead.